Actually, the Judy thing makes it maybe look like the Zoom room.
I can stand here until I speak if you want me to.
In the meeting room.
Yes, queen. Get it, queen. You're dating a man, isn't it?
So I think the only way to tell if there's somebody in there is here.
I didn't hear any of that. I'm so sorry.
I said I think the only way to tell that there's somebody in the waiting room
Yeah.
is to keep the screen here.
Okay.
You can't
Assist.
I think.
you can't see the thing, but it's happening.
Okay. How do I get off of it? Close.
So, but people, the waiting room is the most important.
Yes, I agree.
That's a point. If they pop
But is
up,
the meeting going yet?
it's going.
Okay.
Recording here live on. So everybody that wants to be in needs to get in. And if you're not wanting to get in, then we're asking you to. All right, welcome, and thank you all for being here. Welcome to the youth-led Stop HB 1557, the Don't Say or Be LGBTQ bill. My name is Lakey Love. I'm the co-founder of the Florida Coalition for Transgender Liberation, and I want to say that the Florida Coalition for Transgender Liberation is only here to support. We did not organize this event. This is a youth-organized event, and it will focus on youth speakers that are directly impacted by this awful legislation that the Florida Senate is debating on and will hear today. Our first speaker, a primary organizer of this event and of the rally that occurred in the Capitol last Thursday, is Madeline. Y'all give it up for
Hi, my name is Madeline. I'm a student here to protest HB 1557. I have seen my friends face oppression from their school for being LGBTQ. This is a serious issue. I've seen my friends get kicked out for coming out. I have seen my friends get told that their pronouns don't align with Southern Christian values, which is clearly stupid because you deserve to have your pronouns respected as a student in school. You deserve to be respected. I don't really talk about this, but I personally am LGBTQ, and I have been harassed by, I am homeschooled, but I've been harassed by teachers at a school I was coincidentally at when I was more male presenting. I was called the T slur by a teacher, which is ridiculous. HB 1557 will increase this problem dramatically. It is written in a way that enables schools to out trans students to their parents under the guise of parental rights, which will break apart families and increase the already egregiously high suicide rate amongst the LGBTQ kids, which, by the way, is 10% of LGBTQ kids have attempted suicide. That's 3 times higher than the rate of their peers. And for male trans students, it is 50%. 50% of male trans students have tried to kill themselves. And this is due partially to harassment that they face in schools. This bill, if passed, will allow school districts to effectively erase LGBTQ identity from their culture, students, and curriculum. Ron DeSantis and the GOP, I urge you, stop this ridiculous political stunt. This is dangerous to our students. Do the right thing, protect Florida students, and vote no on HB 1557.
Y'all give it up for Madeline. All right, our next speaker, the loud and proud and also a key organizer of this youth-led event. Y'all give it up for Alex!
They're way too loud and energetic.
My name is Alex. I am a senior at Sale High School. I use he, him pronouns, and I am a trans male and I'm Arrow Ace. As a kid, I used to get jealous of guys, but I didn't know why. I had horrible dysphoria and I became depressed. I remember one day in 5th grade, I was crying and freaking out before I went to school, and I cried the entire car ride and I hid in the bathroom at school. I was upset because I felt like I didn't fit in and I was extremely confused about who I was. And that's what led me to the point where I broke down. I hated the way I looked. I hated my hair. I hated my stomach. I hated my voice. I hated my chest. I hated everything about myself, and I didn't know why until now. It's because I'm a dude. I'm a dude trapped in a chick's body. Even when I was surrounded by people that would have absolutely accepted me for being transgender, I was still scared and tried to push it down. To be honest, I'm still scared and I still try to push it down. The reason I do that is because the LGBTQ plus community was never really explained to me as a kid. I had a family that was all about equal rights, but I was never told what different sexualities and different genders are. Finally, at my old high school, my English teacher sat me down and explained everything about the LGBTQ plus community. I just wish someone had sat me down before then, because then maybe I wouldn't have spent the past 18 years of my life as a wrong gender. Some say that elementary school kids are too young to some people say that elementary school is too young to be teaching kids about the LGBTQ plus community. Now, I was dysmorphic in elementary school and I started self-harming because of it. Maybe if someone had talked to me in elementary school, that wouldn't have happened. We should be headed in the opposite direction of this bill, banning conversations about the LGBTQ plus community. And we should be sitting kids down, explaining the community to them and answering their questions. Tired of lawmakers saying they know what's best for the kid. I was that kid. They don't know jack shit about what it was like for me, and I'll be damned if they think we'll let them oppress us. Oppression is oppression, regardless of age. Thank you. Y'all give it up for Alex!
All right, when I say what do we want, y'all say queer justice. When I say what do we want?
Queer justice.
What do we want?
Now.
What do we want?
Queer justice.
What do we want?
Now.
What do we want?
Queer justice.
What do we want?
Now.
All right. Our next speaker, another youth, and I want to remind each other that even though Florida Coalition for Transgender Liberation is here in support, we did not organize this press conference. This was a youth-led press conference and features youth voices that are directly impacted by this discriminatory, oppressive, anti-LGBTQ legislation. Y'all give it up for Elizabeth!
So my name is Elizabeth. I am a senior, and I'm here to talk about the impact that this bill will have on me and people that I know. So this bill, when I was talking to my dad about this bill, he was like, this bill isn't that bad. Like, you should read the text of the bill because the liberal media has, misconstrued this bill. So I opened the bill and I read the text. Classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through 3rd grade
or in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students in accordance with state standards. This language is discriminatory and wrong. This bill says not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate. That is a very subjective measure. You cannot tell me how to define that, because that is not defined. So this means that parents can sue school districts if they find the education about LGBTQ plus issues in their schools to be age appropriate, not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate. That is inappropriate. Moreover, it directly impacts K through third graders. There are many K through third graders in the state of Florida who have two moms or two dads or two people that do not identify as cishet. This would erase their identity, their parents' identity from school education. This means that if a first grader who had two dads came up to the teacher and was like, "I have two dads, like, how does that work?" That conversation would not be allowed to be had, and that is inappropriate. Students should be able to hear about their identity in school from their teachers. Students should be allowed to be educated about their identity. I personally know someone who has two moms, and they were raised in a very loving environment from their two moms. But if this bill had been passed, they would not have been able to discuss this bill in their school. That is simply wrong. Another problem with this bill is that this bill has been said to take away inappropriate conversations from school. Is being LGBTQ inappropriate? Because I don't think it is. I mean, are we inappropriate? Are y'all inappropriate? Because no, you're not. This is not an inappropriate topic. This is an everyday conversation. This is someone's lived reality every single day. Every single day, I would say a majority of these people wake up and they're LGBTQ, and that just is what it is, you know? It's a wrong bill, and this bill should not pass. Thank you.
Y'all give it up for Elizabeth. These courageous, amazing students that are standing up for the right to be who they are. Please join them over here on this side and stand behind them so they know that you have their back, because it is only going to get worse from here. Our next speaker, another directly impacted, courageous, amazing student. Y'all give it up for
Thank you so much, first of all, for coming out today and supporting us. It really means a lot. I just want to put it out there that my name is Elizabeth Klamer. My pronouns are she, her. I am a senior at Leon High School, and today I stand before you unimaginably tired. You might have heard of these bills, House Bill 1557, House Bill 7, and Senate Bill 148 is to protect children. That could not be further from the truth. I am a born and raised Floridian. I spent most of my life in the small town of Citrus Springs, Florida. We had a very don't ask, don't tell policy when it came to anything LGBTQ. This created a breeding ground for intolerance. Children were not taught anything outside of church and home about LGBTQ people and culture. There was no neutral ground to learn. Throughout elementary and middle school, I had a friend who was a victim of bullying from a young age. They were targeted because their moms are lesbians. Our peers only knew about the rumors their parents would say and the anti-gay rhetoric they would spread to their children. The school did nothing to interfere on behalf of my friend and left it up to me and our other friends to protect them. I believe if that school had taught LGBTQ history the same way they taught the history of the South, my friend would have had a completely different childhood. We could have been taught that it was not unnatural to have LGBTQ parents. We could have been taught more. Instead, we had our education taken away from us. This is not everywhere in Florida. Even Citrus Springs has a major upgrade in the diversity of what they teach over the past few years. However, these bills want to effectively kill any growth that we have had and erase the progress we have fought for. They want to create an unsafe environment for children to learn. This is the future of Florida that supporters of House Bill 1557, House Bill 7, and Senate Bill 148 want. And this is the future I will fight against. I do not want any more children to have to live through the trauma we experienced when schools refused to educate and protect vulnerable children. So here I am today, desperately imploring you to support us in our missions to protect Florida's children and families.
Y'all get up. All right, next to the mic, the loud and proud, and again, very courageous. So we need to say over and over again that this is a youth-led and put together press conference. Florida Coalition is only here to support and stand behind these amazing and courageous students. So y'all get really, 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 really loud for Parker. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Parker Keaton, and I want to thank you all for coming out here today to protest this bill and help us keep our trans youth safe. I'm a trans man, my pronouns are he, him, and I've been living here in Tallahassee for most of my life. I first came out 3 years ago. I've been very fortunate to have many supportive people in my life, and I've been able to become the person that I knew I was and I am. However, I know that if this bill had passed when I first came out, my life would have been much different. For one, I know I could not have been myself at school without my teachers trying their best to ensure I was just as comfortable in the classroom as any of my cisgender peers. I could not have opened up about myself in school essays or assignments in the same ways as everyone else around me. I know this would have had a profound impact on my confidence in myself and ability to be myself. This bill is no more than an attempt to allow anti-LGBTQ+ discrimination to flourish in the classroom while not allowing teachers to prevent it, and take away the vital support and inclusion that our queer youth need in order to survive here in the state of Florida, all under the guise of protecting them.
Wow. Y'all give it up for Parker. Thank you, Parker. That was amazing. Before I introduce our last two speakers, I just want to speak really quickly about a provision in the bill that most people have not been educated to yet, including some of the students, because it just came on last week. Rep. Harding's amendment that has actually been added into the bill and is being heard on the Senate floor today will create a long arm of the law called a special magistrate in the Florida Department of Education. And that special magistrate, who's allowed to charge the school districts for punishing them, will be able to enforce anti-LGBTQ, racist, and other anti-marginalized and discriminatory provisions and place them upon the school districts as things move up into the Board of Education. And Florida Coalition for Transgender Liberation wants the Florida Senate to know that that's actually one of the scariest parts of the bill, right? That you're putting a one-person judge and jury in the Florida Department of Education that's going to crack down on school districts and be anti-LGBTQ, because we know that the Commissioner of Education, that the governor are anti-LGBTQ, and the Stop Woke Act is teaching us that the governor is also completely racist. So this provision in this bill will back up HB 7 as well as 1557 and the book banning 1467 bill that's all is all being heard this week. We think 14, 16, and 7 are being heard this week. So I just wanted to make sure that the media and the people out there in the listening audience are aware of this provision. We need to stop saying that it's just a don't say or be LGBTQ bill. It's also a regulatory administrative arm that's going to crack down and target LGBTQ kids and employees. All right, next to the mic, y'all give it up loud and proud. Winter!
My entire life. Test. My entire life, I have lived as a kid of LGBTQ plus nature. But I was not able to learn this fact until 6th grade. Yet I had parents who advocated for equality for everyone. And yet, due to the erasure of all of my peers' sexualities, who they felt that they needed to be, who they really were. They were not allowed to express themselves clearly. They were not allowed to speak. They were not allowed to be themselves. If being yourself and having freedom is what we were founded upon, then this is a downright mockery. We should be able to be ourselves. School is about learning. School is about learning. We should be able to learn about who we are without having to suffer. This bill will enable the ostracizing of so many kids who were just like me. This will allow bullying to take place in the classroom, and that is unacceptable. Students should not have to worry about their identity, about being personally attacked in the classroom just for who they are. This is completely inappropriate, completely unacceptable, and we will not stand for it.
Y'all give it up for Winter! And if you've come to support these amazing, courageous kids, please come stand behind them and let them know that you've got their back. Goodness, I have not slept. Can y'all imagine? All right, we have one more speaker. This is our only speaker today that is not a youth and is not responsible for organizing this press conference. I want to say again, this press conference and the rally that these young people will be holding for the rest of the day is organized by them. It features their voices and it is here to uplift them because they are directly impacted. All of these students here today are directly impacted. So our last speaker is a former teacher here in Leon County. Y'all give it up for Cyrus!
My name is Cyrus Bresak. My pronouns are they, them. I am a transgender educator and a former teacher. As an educator, it pains me to see so few teachers speaking up on this issue. People tell me all the time that teachers don't belong in politics, but I believe that is exactly where we belong. Our students have no choice but to be here. Their lives are being politicized. They are being actively threatened, and our classrooms are being set up as the traps. These students are taking time out of their education to speak up for themselves because they are terrified of what might happen if they don't. According to one study from 2001, 1 in 6 Gen Zers say they are queer or transgender. If you take a classroom of about 20 students, although class sizes are often larger than that, statistically speaking, 3 or 4 of the students in that classroom will identify as trans or queer at some point in their life. Multiply that by a teacher's long career, and you have dozens of LGBTQ+ students who have come through their room. If these bills are signed into law, teachers will be required to out their students to parents. We cannot emphasize strongly enough how dangerous that is. The wonderful student speakers before me have already mentioned the astronomically high suicide rate of LGBTQ+ students. And I'll point out an additional statistic. 40% of homeless youth identify as LGBTQ+. Their parents, their families are not only unsupportive, but are willing to actively put their children in danger because of their LGBTQ+ identity. This bill requires teachers to put their students in danger under the guise of parental rights. Teachers have often been the confidants of students. That relationship is precious, and these bills will erode that sense of safety. It is not inappropriate for trans students to be in our classrooms. It is not inappropriate for gay, lesbian, and bisexual students to be in our classrooms. These students need us to speak up for them. They need us to be able to talk about their identities in their classroom. They need to be able to express themselves and ask questions without fear of being reported to their parents. We are running out of time for you to speak up. Listen to the children who have spoken before me. Hear their stories. They need you now, maybe more than they ever have before. Speak up for them before it is too late. That window is closing fast. Listen to their stories and make their voices heard, because soon you will not be allowed to. Y'all give it up for Sarah! All right, one more chance and then a few brief comments and we'll call it a day. The students may stay here and rally as well. So if they do that, please join them. Hold on just one second. Let's do when LGBTQ youth are under attack, what do we do? When LGBTQ youth are under attack, what do we do? One final comment. These youth are also here standing against HB 7, the Stop Woke Act, and HB 1467, the Book Banning Act. Both these bills are targeted attacks on especially transgender and gender diverse youth and LGBTQ youth and programming in schools. HB 7 in particular is a targeted attack on LGBTQ diversity, inclusion, and equity training and transgender youth in general, because it removes gender and replaces it with sex in the Educational Equity Act, sending us back decades. It is time for people to realize, 1, gender is fluid. 2, sex is fluid. 3, gender and sex are not the same thing. We demand that Florida and these legislators protect these youth. We've already heard about bullying, about not being educated, about being unheard, about not getting proper facilities or health care. It is time that we say all right, I'm going to give the mic over to Alex, and Alex is going to lead a few more chants and let y'all know about the rally to come.
As you guys know, I'm Alex. I'm one of the leaders for the student organized protest, and a lot of students are coming at 2:30, and we are going to have a sit-in in the Capitol, and we're also going to have people outside in the courtyard chanting. So yeah, please join us for that. So yeah, we say gay, 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 we say gay. We say trans, 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 we say trans. No censorship! No censorship! Anyone? I have a nice microphone. Not too heavy. Not the church, not the state. We are Lord inside our faith. Not the church, not the state. We
What do we want?